Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our final content session of the Leadership Exchange program this year. Very excited to have with us today Dana Jackson, who is a Kentucky native, right, Dana? Okay, Louisville native, perhaps, and has worked very extensively in Louisville and across Kentucky on community-based organizing and all sorts of systems change work, and also as a national consultant with the Annie Casey Foundation and Strive Together out of Cincinnati, and just really looking at very holistic approaches to leading change, really community voice, community-based work. So I've had the wonderful pleasure of working with Dana, 10 or so years ago. And then I was reaching out to some colleagues at a national organization for a speaker recommendation, and they pointed me straight to Dana. And I was like, well, I absolutely know that's going to be a dynamite. So very excited to have you with us, Dana. And I'm going to share screen just for a quick second to give everybody a little, um, wait, where is it? Here we go. Just a little overview. So today is very heavily Dana sharing with us and exploring the practice of adaptive leadership. So really hoping that this is some just-in-time information and insights for you as you are kicking off your capstone projects and potentially experiencing what often happens when things don't go exactly as we plan. And how do we then, approach whatever challenges may be in front of us with that kind of positive approach, and we can figure this out and the adaptive solutions. And then I just wanted to kind of bring us back to our process wheel. We've been marching around it. We are now in our beautiful pink bubble. Happy Valentine's for our adaptive leadership skills today. And then what is coming next? So we'll have several check-ins for our capstone progress. And our goal is that by that 30-day check-in on the 25th of February, everybody has their aim statements and driver diagrams in the Google Drive, or you've connected with your coach and have what you think is a solid plan for your process. Now, of course, we hope that you're actually already working on it, but that's going to be a little bit of a milestone for us as coaches to see if we need to provide some additional outreach and support to anyone who's still in the development process. And then at the end of our session today, I am going to drop a Google link for a presentation time slot sign up. And so please do grab whatever time and order in the group you like to go. If you are attending today, you'll get it first. So you can at least have first dibs there. And then, of course, we'll share out in an email follow-up to the rest of our cohort. But yeah, grab that slot and get excited for our capstones. And in case you're like, what does that entail exactly? We do have a whole module in the toolkit, module 8, and there's quite a bit in there that helps prep for what, are the judges really going to be looking for related to, information that they would love to hear from you about the project that you worked on. Okay, I am going to stop my share and pass it over to Dana.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Lily. Hi, everybody. It is so good to be with you all again today. This is my second opportunity to talk to the Leadership Exchange Group. Got a chance to do that with the cohort prior to yours. They were awesome. Here's what I believe. You guys are going to be awesome as well, for sure. Um, we're going to mostly keep the screens up, which means that you all are on my screen over to the right in little squares. If you need something from me or Vanessa, is the person who is driving the slide deck, just put it in the chat. And if at any time you have a question or whatever, hey, I'm a blurter from way back, so feel free to just sort of come off mute and to blurt that question out. So, welcome. Let's do the next slide. Talk a little bit about today's focus. Today's focus is really an intro to adaptive leadership and adaptive challenges. We're going to do a quick tour of adaptive leadership, what it is, what it takes, and then do a deeper dive on applying a particular framework, a particular adaptive tool to address those thorny adaptive issues. And the other focus for today is I'm a person who really, really enjoys having a good time and having fun. So I'm hoping that you guys will have a little fun today. And if you don't have like out and out fun, hey, I'll take a pleasant time learning. Okay.
Hmm.
All right, let's go to the next slide. So a little bit about the way of the day, how we're going to spend time together today. Starting off with the welcome, I'm hoping you're feeling welcome. I feel welcome. We'll talk a little about relationships. It's really going to be a light touch on relationships, but relationships are really the bedrock of adaptive leadership and change culture. We'll explore adaptive leadership, as I said. We'll take a mini, micro, bite size, fun size break, come back, do a little application, and then next steps. Can we take the slides down for a second, Vanessa? Because I just want to see folks. And if you can, I'd love to just sort of see your face. We had sent out a, hey, if you get a chance, take a look at this YouTube video on adaptive leadership. It was a framework. It comes from a book called Switch. Did folks have a chance to review that? And I'm no shame, no blame, no anything. I'm just trying to think about pacing and if it's something we might want to watch together. Folks have a chance to take a peek? No?
Oh,
Awesome. That means that it's movie time, people. We're going to do it together, okay? So I may speed up just a little bit so that we can nudge in that 7 minute video. Fair enough? All right. You didn't know you were going to get a show. If only you had dinner, it'd be dinner and a show, and it would be great. All right. So lots of ground to cover. Um, and we're going to start with talking about relationships. So here is the thing, and you all keep me honest here. Most of you guys, if not all of you, are really trying to push a systems change agenda. You want something in your organization or in your system to be different. Is that a true story? All right. Awesome. And I am so good with breaking all the Zoom norms and you not being on mute, right? And talking to me. I'm a Kentucky girl, and you guys know how we are in Kentucky. We like connection and we like to talk. Okay. So you guys are pushing a change agenda, a systems change agenda. And here's the deal, probably not new news to you, but systems are made up of what?
yeah. People.
People, people, people. Systems are made up of people. And by definition, as human beings, as people, we are super relational. We are super relational. And relationships are the bedrock of adaptive leadership and pushing adaptive change and addressing adaptive challenges. Um, I would dare say that what fuels relationships is trust. And trust is a bold leadership choice that requires you to lean in and to be in connection with someone else. So I really think that this next slide, Vanessa, if you throw it up there, so just a little quote. And I really, 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 really love this because I think it is true that relationships are the infrastructure for change. So when we're talking about adaptive leadership and we're talking about adaptive work, we really are talking about people heavy stuff, right? It is hearts and minds stuff with people. As my youngest son used to say, pesky humans, right? It is working with and working through those hard, tough times with humans who oftentimes may not do exactly what we would prefer when we prefer it be done. So I'm going to ask you guys, remember I just said that um, trust is a bold leadership choice. I'm going to ask you guys to trust me for, well, it would be great if you trusted me forever, but at least the next 90 minutes would be super awesome. And lean into what we're going to do together. Try some things on. It may be a dueling frame for you, but still sort of try it on. And to lean in and tell me a little bit about how you are doing today. So we are going to do a check-in because I want to hear from you guys how you're doing. So we'll do like a one-word check-in, right? And people, one word is one word, right? How are you doing? One word. But you'll come off mute, tell me your name, and then your one word. I'll example it for you. It would simply be Dana excited. All right. Before we get started, though, I brought somebody along with me that you guys might know this person. Vanessa, let's hit that next slide. You guys come off mute. Who's that?
Joey.
That's Joey. And what does Joey say?
How you doing?
How you doing? All right, I got one person who can do it. I want to hear the person who believes they have the best Joey voice. Remember, trust is a bold leadership choice.
How you doing?
How you doing? All right, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. That was awesome. Do we have another awesome Joey out there? I believe we do. Right? Adaptive leaders, we lean into vulnerability.
All right. How you doing?
There you go. How you doing? All right. Thank you for that. So that really is the question on the table. How you doing? Okay. So what I'd love for you to do is think of your one word, and then let's hear from how many people do we have out there? We got 20 folks. I believe we can do this in under a minute. What do you guys think? All right, Vanessa, can we take Joey down? Thank you, Joey. And just come off mute quickly, your name and one word that describes how you're doing today.
David.
David,
Fabulous.
Everybody's going over talking.
Uh-oh. Okay, how about I do this? How about we go with David Travis, then Emily Joe?
Fabulous.
All right, Emily Joe.
Stressed.
Okay, Lisa Cox, and then Rachel, and then James.
Frazzled.
Uh-oh.
Relentless.
Gotcha.
Kelly,
All right. Stephanie and then David. David P.
Well rested.
Nice hyphenated.
relieved.
All right. Thank you. Jessica.
Committed.
All right. And is it Annalum?
Are you saying Anita?
Oh, okay. I was like, okay, I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, okay, let's see. Let's try it. All right.
That's all my
Anita,
business.
then Jane, then
I'm
Shane.
sleepy.
Sleepy.
Jane, overwhelmed.
Shane,
Shane.
Shane, just fine.
All right. Is it Kasha?
Recovering.
Cheryl, Terry, Jen, and then Cade.
So I bet it's
Go ahead, Cade.
my name. Cade, awesome. Everyone
All
like
right, we'll go backwards. Jen, then Terry.
Jen, exhausted.
Okay. Terry.
Terry, overwhelmed.
All right, can I hear from Hannah? And then we'll come back to Cheryl, then Lily.
Hannah, Sunny.
All right. Lily, do you want to
Juggling.
juggling? All right. And did I hear from Hannah?
Yes, you did.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. So is that everybody? I believe it is. Vanessa, how are you? Okay. Awesome. All right. So the reason I did that, not as an icebreaker, but honestly, as an adaptive leader, remember I said it's hearts and minds stuff, right? It's about feeling stuff as well. It really was more than an icebreaker. It's to give me data on who I'm spending time with, right? It really is a signal about the group and what you all might need from me to be a support and a help in the space that we share. So I know people, do icebreakers and they do check-ins and what's your favorite color and all that kind of stuff. My invitation to you all is to really be thinking about from the beginning of every interaction in meetings with people that you are holding a change agenda with to sort of do a little touchstone, maybe through a check-in, or it doesn't have to be one word, it could be something else, but to get a sense of where people are. So, what did you guys hear? We can do the next slide. What'd you hear? What's the synthesis or the theming that you heard about this group?
We're all tired and overwhelmed and exhausted.
Yeah, folks are tired, overwhelmed, exhausted, sort of hanging on, as my mother-in-law used to say, by dental floss, right? Like there's a lot going on, right? And what else?
Well, few people are doing fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're sort of running the gamut here, which is a really good thing for me to know. All right. So every chance I get, I'm going to just sort of try and example some things. Some of these things might be old hat for you all, but I want to just center them in the space that we're sharing together because all of them are elements of adaptive leadership. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask Vanessa to take that slide down. We're going to be doing a whole lot of the take it down, put it up simply because I want to see y'all. Okay. Let's just sort of jump right in. I know that you guys, I loved the diagram, Lily, that you showed at the beginning of where the cohort has been and where you are, like you're in that pink bubble. So what my understanding, I took some notes because I wanted to make sure that I was holding you all correctly that you guys have done your aim statement, you've looked at drivers, you've done some process mapping, or is this a true story? Am I? Okay. That you've worked on creating your future state, you've done some project planning, that is where you are. And I'm so excited that that is where you have been because my hunch is that in moving towards your capstone, and doing the work that you've done, you've probably really identified some sticky places where you really want to lean in and make change. And maybe you are the first person to peep that place where change needs to be made. Or maybe you are the 25th person, right? This is a snare or something that has been a tangle perennially. And there's a reason why that change has not been delivered. Maybe it's the approach, maybe it's not been ripe for change, but you guys are going after it. And what I know, because I've been doing this for like 38 years, don't let the blonde braids fool you, like I've been hanging around for a while now, is that when change is super duper hard and it is a perennial tangle, it's not because it's a technical issue, it's because it's an adaptive issue, and it's going to take a different kind of leadership. So, we're going to talk about what adaptive leadership is and get into how it differs from traditional leadership. So, here's what I'm going to tell you. We are high level, touring, glossing, doing an intro. There are semester long courses on adaptive leadership. My hunch is some of you guys have, like, this is not your first rodeo with adaptive leadership. How many folks have delved into adaptive leadership before? At least a little. All right, I see a couple of hands there. Okay, awesome. Well, I tell you, okay, there's another hand. I tell you what, I am such an adaptive leadership nerd that even beyond the space that we share today, if you are interested in adaptive leadership, I'm an email away. So I want to offer that to you. So let's get into this. Um, Next slide, Vanessa. And we're just going to do some touring of slides pretty quickly. I'm going to do a little reading to you, but I'm also going to do a little voiceover on the reading as well. So I really want to level set what we're talking about when we're talking about adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership is really about leaders encouraging people to adapt in order to deal with challenges and changes, right? Let's hit that button. So, adaptive leadership, a model that leaders use to help people adapt in order to face or deal with challenges and changes. And if I were a person who goes in and edits people's quotes, we call that Wikipedia, and this is not that. I would have written or edited that last part to deal with challenges and changes that are stubborn and feel that almost feel intractable, right? Because that's really, where adaptive leadership shines. So, adaptive leadership really differs from conventional top down or more of an authoritarian approach to leadership. It really posits that the people with the problem are also the people who can solve the problem. So, what I tell my millennials are think crowdsourcing, right? Next bullet, please. That adaptive leadership requires the capacity to sense, surface ambiguity, and interpret the nuances of change. I'd add there the capacity to sense and surface loss. Most adaptive challenges that adaptive leaders face are rooted in loss, either real loss or perceived loss. It spotlights flexibility and leaning into complexity. We can just keep hitting the button, Vanessa, and I'll catch up. All right. So adaptive leaders are really leaning into ambiguity and flexibility, right? This doesn't mean that there's not a leadership stance and anything goes. It really is being able to be flexible and not flimsy, and really being able to pivot and address issues. Adaptive leadership supports a culture of learning and innovation. And here is that part. You guys remember what I said about my son when he used to say pesky humans, right? So it is anchored in collaboration and stakeholder engagement. Well, stakeholders are people, and people don't always do the thing that you might want them to do when you want them to do it. And collaboration, as you guys know, can be a tough nut to crack, and yet it is so very necessary. So, next slide. At its heart, it's a process of mobilizing folks to tackle tough challenges and to thrive. And I really want to underline a couple of words in here, mobilizing people. How many folks, by raising your hand, really believe that you can tackle big challenges all by yourself? Yeah. All right. So maybe some big challenges, but usually you working in action and alignment with other folks and you're mobilizing them. And this word thrive is sort of overused, so I want to unpack it a little bit. Let's hit the next slide. So with adaptive leadership, like the intersection here with adaptive leadership and thriving, adaptive leaders, yeah, sometimes I want to tackle something myself, but it's never a realistic solution. Yeah, we're usually working in collaboration, concert, and connection with other folks. Adaptive leaders are seeking to do some things to get to thriving. First, really preserving parts of the DNA of an organization or a system that are essential for it to survive. So, what does that mean? That's really fancy talk for adaptive leaders are going in and sussing out, okay, is this, if I change this, does the organization, the system, or the habit fold in on itself and collapse? Or does the change agenda allow for the change and keep the essential elements of the system that allow it to survive? Adaptive leaders are looking to discard the pieces or the parts or that DNA that no longer serves the organization or the system's current needs, right? So sometimes, and I bet you guys have been in places and spaces and systems like this where it's like, oh, yeah, we just keep on doing that thing, but that was good in 1968, but in the Lord's year 2026, maybe not so much, right? So adaptive leaders are using a lens to look at the system, read that system, and figure out what needs to be re-regulated, what needs to be rearranged or tossed because it doesn't meet the current moment. And doing so without, like playing the Jenga game and pulling the one block that makes the whole system topple. And lastly, when you're walking in your adaptive leadership, you're always looking for ways to create new arrangements that encourage, allow, plant the ability for the system to flourish in what is now the current environment. Okay, so I'm going to pause and say, make sense? Everybody with me? Y'all got to talk to me. Okay, Emily Joe, I see your head moving and nodding. All right. Awesome. Thank you for the thumbs up. It's hard to see you guys in the little boxes. All right. So those are sort of hallmarks of an adaptive leader. You're looking to preserve parts for continued survival. You're looking to rearrange stuff that no longer serves, and you're creating new arrangements, formal arrangements and informal arrangements that help you meet the current moment. So adaptive leaders address adaptive challenges. Let's sort of take the slide deck down, Vanessa, and talk a little bit about adaptive challenges versus technical challenges. Have folks heard that phrase, technical challenges, before? See one head nodding. Stephanie, you were with me last time, so you've heard this spiel. All right, James, were you saying yes? Okay, awesome. So, technical challenges, adaptive challenges. What do you guys think are the differences between the two? Just come off mute and let's have a convo.
I think technical challenges have more to do with like the systems and the kinds of processes that you're using, where those adaptive challenges probably more involve people and their willingness to adapt how they're um, approaching work.
Very nice. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, who else would add to what Lisa has said? So technical, more processes, adaptive, more peoply. All right.
I guess I'll chime in and just say maybe the technical challenges can maybe stay relatively the same kind of over time potentially versus an adaptive challenge since it's related to people. Those could be more, there's more movement in those because there's new people coming into different roles and different parts of the process.
Yeah, so very much people heavy and very much I'm gonna use the word sort of iterative and can may even feel swirly. Let's sort of go to the slides and take a peek. And what we'll do is talk a little bit about technical challenges first, and then we'll talk about adaptive challenges. Okay. So the thing about technical challenges have known solutions. They are usually solved by an authority or an expert. Okay. So if you think about, and when I say authority, it doesn't have to be top leadership solves a problem, but usually they are leading the charge, or they may have the final word, or maybe they have the view into the problem. And I know that if we do this, then if we do X, Y will happen. By expert, the example I like to use is if your furnace breaks down, you don't call me because if you do, you're going to be cold, right? You call an expert and they know if they go in and do this thing, X, then the furnace will be fixed. So the expert can fix it. There is a known solution for the problem. Both the problem and the solution are understood, and folks agree that A plus B equals C. Technical challenges and technical leadership, it usually is very formal, very structured, and there is a worldview and power structures that aren't really threatened. Okay. So it's like, okay, the furnace guy came, he fixed it. He's got the power here. He's the expert. I am not. Or if we take it to the social sector, the boss said X, and now we do X. We don't push back because the boss has fixed X 100 times. So what she says goes. All right. Versus adaptive challenges. So think technical challenges, known solution, nice and tidy in the box. Adaptive challenges don't come with a manual or expert. They usually don't have a known solution. Or if they do have a known solution, the capacity to access that solution and implement it isn't available. Okay. Technical, known solution, adaptive, no known solution. The problem is super complex, it's messy, and it's social. meaning it's going to take not just one of us, it's going to take some of us. In an adaptive challenge, the problem may not be clear, and it may take several takes to really figure out what the problem is. You're making multiple hypotheses. You're holding a learning stance. You're holding emergence. And you may even have to have productive conflict, right? So by productive conflict, that means, hey, I disagree. I disagree with you. Let's try this. Or there may be something going on that needs to be named, even if it is uncomfortable. Earlier on, I said adaptive challenges are connected to loss, real loss, like, oh my goodness, I could lose my position, I might lose funding, I might lose formal or informal authority, or even if it's not real, people may feel like that they could lose their stature, or they could bump into things that feel uncomfortable for them. So, when you're talking about adaptive challenges, you're really talking about having to navigate complexity and to work across boundaries. Habits and assumptions are challenged, and innovation and even failure are embraced, which is what makes adaptive work so messy, because how many folks like to maybe not get it right on the first go? Like, folks may not be in a situation or in a system where there is a lot of risk tolerance, and yet adaptive work takes risk tolerance. So let me ask a question really quickly to you guys. Which side of the grid sounds better to you? Which approach seems much tidier?
Technical.
The technical part.
Technical. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, the technical feels much tidier, and it often is, because somebody somewhere can fix the blame thing. But the reality is that most technical problems don't really just live as technical problems. They have adaptive um, facets to them. So let's sort of look at how you know you're dealing with an adaptive problem. Okay. So here is the deal. I like to think of this slide as, and I'm going to really date myself. You guys remember David Letterman, Late Night with Letterman? So,
Of course.
of course, there you go. So he used to do his top 10 list. You guys remember
Yeah.
it? All
Yep.
right. So I'm going to give you the Letterman version of, you're dealing with an adaptive problem if, right? So these are the 10. First, people would rather avoid or deny the issue.
I love that one, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. And some of this is true with technical challenges too, right? Like when my brakes start to go out, I just turn on the radio really
Yeah.
loud, right? I know Lily's like, don't do that. Right. But there's a technical fix, but there's an adaptive component to that. I will lose time away from work. I really don't want to lose the whether it's the cash, or I might have to confront, oh, it's time to get a new car, whatever, right? But it's an adaptive challenge if people continually, perennially avoid or deny the issue. It's a reoccurring problem, right? It's like putting a band-aid on a really, really big wound. Okay, it might help for a little while, but not really. The problem just keeps going. It's uncomfortable work. So the challenge causes discomfort, maybe in you or in others, right? It may gin up conscious incompetence for you or others. There's failure to resolve competing priorities. That's fancy talk for, oh, I know this thing in the system really needs to be changed, but I can't possibly change that till I change A, B, and C. Oh, I can't possibly change A, B, and C until I change X, Y, and Z. So these priorities just keep coming around cyclically in a way that you can't get to them. My favorite is that there's cordial hypocrisy. Folks know what cordial hypocrisy is? Have you heard that term before?
No.
Cordial hypocrisy, it is we say one thing out loud, but that's not really what we think, right? Cordial hypocrisy is in the meeting, we are all aligned, and then there's the meeting after the meeting, and it's like, that's not what you said in the meeting, right? So that may not happen in the systems you all work in, but it happens in many systems. Moving forward feels risky. There may be casualties and real loss. I talked about that. People have to work across boundaries, and progress is not linear. And the reality is, our systems often value progress that is linear, right? So the mental model is get it done. Here's the problem. Here's the fix. But in an adaptive challenge, it's not linear progress. In fact, it might be one step forward, two steps back. It might be slow. It might be swirly. And the clincher here is that to address an adaptive challenge, that the work must be done by those who have the problem. It's not a, and here we go. I'm going to hand the tablet to you of how to fix it. It really takes engagement. And then the next slide really shows what an adaptive challenge feels like. Yeah, right there. Right. It is head meet wall, head meet pole. Right. Just like our little friend Sylvester is having this experience. When you are a leader and you are really in the throes of an adaptive challenge, it can feel like this. So I'm going to stop for a second. And Vanessa, if you could take that slide down, and I'm going to look at what's in the chat. That's the perfect Jeff should use for a few, right? Yeah, it really does feel like that because you think you fixed it, right? It feels like head meet wall, or have you guys played, what is that game? Mole in the hole? Whack-a-mole, right? It can feel very much like that. I'm just reading the chat, refer to this as cognitive. Yes, yes, cordial hypocrisy. Think cordial be very, very nice, but no, not really. Um, so those are sort of the hallmarks of the adaptive challenges. But here's the deal. The reality is most challenges have an adaptive component to it. And the work of an adaptive leader is to be able to suss out what the adaptive components are. So, Vanessa, if you could put the slide up, wait, there's more. So, adaptive, most challenges are hybrid challenges. They're a little bit technical and they're a little bit adaptive, or as I like to say, they're a little bit country and a little bit rock and roll. And the deal about technical challenges, like challenges love to masquerade as though they are only technical. And the reality is that any technical challenge most often has an adaptive edge to it. So let me give you an example. How many folks have engaged with some kind of data conversion or some kind of data system, or you need to enter data, you're trying to get somebody else to enter data, and they sort of just won't do it?
Yes. All
Yes.
the time.
There you go. Look at the love that's coming up on the screen now. All right, I'm on your street. Okay, so it seems really, really technical. Why in the world won't they just enter the data? You know what I'm going to do? They probably don't get it. They probably don't understand how to do it. I'm going to do more training. Oh, I'm going to do more frequent check-ins. Oh, I am going to have the data people put together an easy guide for them. All of those are what kind of fixes? Technical fixes. The adaptive leader looks at that and says, okay, what are some of the adaptive issues here? And you start with a loss. What is the real or perceived loss that might be happening? Oh, right? Like adaptive challenges go to values, beliefs, the heart. What might people worry about? Well, if I'm logging my work into a data system, number of students I've seen, number of hours doing this, people think I'm a rock star right now, but I might have to experience some loss. I'm not a rock star. I'm doing on par with everyone else. Or really, I'm an expert in my job, but I'm very novice with the data system. Those are adaptive complexities, right? It may be any other kind of hypothesis, like you're really just making hypothesis, right? About what might be underneath what appears to be a technical challenge. It could be a belief, hey, look, I've got 1 million students to see. Nobody is really going to use this data anyway, right? So now you're having to address a belief. The problem is masquerading as technical, but it's a hearts, minds, belief, loss, adaptive kind of issue. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah, talk to me.
Yes.
All right. So let's hit the next slide, which is our pause slides. So here we're going to take a pause right after I tell you why these adaptive challenges are just so dang hard. Again, they're rooted in people's fundamental values, their beliefs, their pushback against loss, and may be emanating from your blind spots and or that their blind spots. That whole thing about DNA that we talked about earlier, where it's like rearrange the DNA, get rid of the stuff that no longer works, and create new kinds of connections. Most people don't want to be rearranged. They don't want their role rearranged. If the system serves them, they don't want the system served, right? So, not that you are solving for all this, but as an adaptive leader, you are having that in your headset as you are approaching your change agenda. And lastly, adaptive work, adaptive leadership work is tough because it can feel uncomfortable for you as leader and also for the folks that you are stewarding through change. Okay. So I'm going to pause and ask what questions you have. What questions are you holding?
I would also throw out there, Dana, does anybody have an issue, a challenge, something that's right now going on in your capstone project
We're
that
going
might,
in.
be a good case study for this? It's either technical, adaptive, you thought it was one, it may be the other. Anybody facing any of these kind of barriers as you're moving change forward?
So that is where we're going, right? To think about your project. And perhaps you haven't bumped into it yet, but you anticipate this thing happening. And you need to sort of, have your, you need to be on ready regarding it. What kind of pinch points are you all currently experiencing? It's all going swimmingly. You all got it nailed down.
Not really with the project per se, but with some other things. One of the things we're doing at the system right now, this is the community college system, is we are reviewing our general education degree requirements and seeing if we're in alignment with our Kentucky institutions, public 4-year. And so that may require us to propose changes that make sense if you just look at numbers. Okay. But faculty very much identify with their areas that they teach. They could be afraid of if we reduce the general education, that there's already legislator problems. So there's that risk of losing your job. There's the risk of losing the courses you like to teach. There's the loss is really big. That one really resonated with me because I could see the loss mindset there. And then you have the fact that people don't like to change, that are very well established. So you've got this avoidance um, of change. And there's some things that we have known about for a very long time, but yet have not done anything to resolve these issues. Because it's just easier to stick with the status quo. I mean, that is our default. It's like, why change it if we don't have to?
Absolutely.
So it meets almost all of your checklist. It could potentially have impacts across the board, including crossing all kinds of boundaries. So as you were talking, I was just thinking about, okay, right now we're just getting this process started. But as we move forward, we need to be taking all these different aspects into consideration about how we address it, how we even bring up the conversation to try to acknowledge some of these complications that are very real and very person based.
Yeah, I mean that is a hallmark, right? The complexity of it all. Um, so my hunch is that man, I wish we had more time. So when we send this out to you guys, the slide deck, there's a resource section of the slide deck this year that Kasha, it could be helpful to you, like different ways to address adaptive issues. There are like 5 or 6 hallmark ways to sort of get you started. So I want to make sure that you get that.
Awesome.
And yeah, and what I'd like to do is, Vanessa, we're going to go to the switch video. And this is an adaptive framework. It's from Chip and Dan Heath. They wrote the book. Switch sort of looks like this, and that's also in the resource section. But it talks about 3 different big chunks of focus. Don't play it quite yet. 3 different big chunks of focus. It's a 7 or 8 minute video. We're going to watch it together. We may not get all the way through it, but what I'd like for you all to do is really be thinking about your capstone project and where you are and what you're bumping into. And maybe you haven't bumped into it yet, but it's your capstone project for a reason. And what you all agreed, nodded your head to, was like, yeah, I'm really trying to make change, right? Which means there's something that you want to shift. And if it were easy, somebody probably would have already done it by now. If it's not your capstone project that has you tangled, perhaps it's something like Kasha, where it's like, okay, it's not my capstone, but it's in my role in my system in this way. So really have those things in your headset. And when we come back, I'm going to ask, like, okay, based on what you heard from the video, what's the work that you think you might need to do in terms of, and these will make sense to you in just a moment, directing the rider, motivating what they call the elephant, and shaping the path. Okay. So feel free to take notes. The link is at the top of the agenda Lily sent out, and we'll have a discussion. Okay. All right. Hit it, Vanessa. Oh, we're going to need.
Can you hear it?
We need your audio.
Sorry, can you hear it? Oh, no.
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, one moment.
Have folks heard of this framework before? The switch framework? It's really super interesting. And it's something you can start applying, tomorrow.
Okay, now it should
Change is
work.
Hard by Chip.
Let's go back.
Switch. How to Change When Change is Hard by Chip and Dan Heath is a great book for leaders and their teams looking to make changes in their organizations, and for people wanting to make changes in their own lives. Stories and case studies backed by science to illustrate ideas and practices that actually work fill this entertaining and educational book. In it, the Heath brothers empower you to make changes with more confidence. Switch begins with the brilliant 3-part framework for guiding you on how to change behavior in any situation in ways that are a bit more simple, practical, and easier. To change behavior, you've got to 1. Direct the rider, a person's rational side. 2. Motivate the elephant, a person's emotional side. And 3. Shape the path, the situation or environment a person is in. For Direct the Rider, the Heath brothers say that what looks like resistance is often a lack of clarity. Give crystal clear direction if you want behavior to change. For Motivate the Elephant, they say, what looks like laziness is often exhaustion. The rider can't get his way by force for very long. It's critical that you engage people's emotional side and get their elephants on the path and cooperating. And for Shape the Path, what looks like a people problem is often a situation problem. They call the situation, including the environment, the path. When the path is shaped, you make changes more likely, regardless with what's going on with the rider or the elephant. Each of these 3 parts has 3 chapters. Let's get into it, starting with Direct the Rider. Find the bright spots. A tendency to spin his wheels is the rider's weakness. His analysis almost always looks at problems rather than bright spots. This leads to analysis paralysis. To make progress on a change, you need ways to direct the rider. Ask, what's working and how can we do more of it? Use that bright spot to reproduce behavior you and the company value. Learning to recognize and understand bright spots helps answer the question, what exactly needs to be done differently, and makes change easier. Script the critical moves. Ambiguity, or uncertainty, exhausts the rider because he or she has to tug the reins of the elephant, expending energy trying to steer the elephant down a new path. Successful change requires translating goals into concrete behaviors. As a leader, you've got to give crystal clear guidance and think about the specific behavior you want to see. The writer in people needs a script as a guide to action. The Heath brothers state, don't think big picture. Think in terms of specific behaviors you want performed. Clarity dissolves resistance. Point to the destination. A big goal motivates both the rider and the elephant. When you point to and describe a compelling destination, you redirect thinking because the rider begins to figure out how to get there. As a leader, create what the Heath brothers call a destination postcard, a vivid image from the near-term future that shows what could be possible. Then, back it up with a script for the behaviors you want. The Heath brothers say, change is easier when you know where you're going and why it's worth it. Motivate the elephant. Find the feeling. The elephant is motivated by emotion. To motivate people to change, you must find a feeling. A leader taps into the feelings that motivate people to become interested, contribute their creativity, and solve bigger and more challenging problems. The Heath brothers say, knowing something isn't enough to cause change. Make people feel something. Shrink the change. If you want an elephant that is not hesitant about change, you need to shrink the change. The elephant does not enjoy tasks without immediate gratification. It needs reassurance that things will not be so bad. Hope, according to the Heath brothers, is elephant fuel. And when a task feels too big, the elephant will resist. Giving the elephant in people a sense of progress and making them feel closer to the finish line than they thought keeps the elephant from getting demoralized. The Heath brothers talk about using small wins, milestones within reach. Select small wins that have two traits. One, they're meaningful, and two, they're within immediate reach. Grow your people. The elephant must believe it is capable of making the change. The Heath brothers talk about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. With a fixed mindset, people believe their abilities are basically static or stay the same. They avoid challenges and fear people will see them as a failure. With a growth mindset, people believe abilities are like muscles. They can be built up with practice. They will accept more challenges despite the risk of failure. As a leader, ask yourself, how can I make people make a change based on the way they see themselves rather than their circumstances? As the Heath brothers say, cultivate a sense of identity and instill the growth mindset. Shape the path. Tweak the environment. Leaders can help people make changes by providing clear direction, helping the rider, or boosting their motivation, helping the elephant. And they can make the journey easier by tweaking the environment, which makes the right behavior easier to perform and the wrong behaviors a lot tougher to perform. As the Heath brothers say, when the situation changes, the behavior changes. So change the situation. Build habits. To change people, you must learn how to change their habits. If the right habits are in place, good behaviors follow, and the rider does not have to take charge. The Heath brothers call this behavioral autopilot. They suggest two things to think about when building habits. 1, the habit should serve and advance your mission, and 2, the habit needs to be relatively easy to embrace. The Heath brothers say, when behavior is habitual, it's free. It doesn't tax the rider. Rally the herd. The elephant, the emotional side of people, always looks to the herd for cues about how to behave. In times of change, nobody knows how to behave, and that can lead to problems. The Heath brothers say that people do what they do because they see their peers doing those things. When the herd has embraced the right behavior, they encourage leaders to highlight that it is working and to publicize it. As the Heath brothers say, behavior is contagious. Help it spread. We've given you the heart of the content from Switch by Chip and Dan Heath, but you will want to read the book and the great case studies that provide context for true understanding of how you can make changes. Switch is an inspiring read, and we will reference it in the future for making changes in our own culture at Calibrain. We hope that this review was fun and helpful for you. You can click on the link below in the...
All right, so that is Switch, a whole book in 7 minutes. What reactions do you have to what you saw?
thought it was an interesting concept to think about getting the elephant to understand that they're capable of change and kind of breaking it into smaller. So like trying to figure out a way to frame it in a way of this is a big change now, but you're capable of it. It's you have the tools to make the change and kind of trying to figure out a way to frame it where it's not like this is all the work you have to do now. It's like this is how it's going to be easier for everyone involved, kind of further down the path. But I like the idea of tapping into their emotional side of like kind of being their cheerleader. Like you can do it, and doing that in a professional and non-patronizing way, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the thing here really is, as you're thinking about whether it's your capstone project or maybe it's a different challenge in a different area within your system, within your role, to really figure like, do I need to direct the writer? Right? Is there more like logic and data, or can I find the bright spots and show to people? Do I need to have more work plans or critical moves scripted? Or do I need to motivate the elephant? Right? Jane, to your point, do I need to speak to the emotional side, find the feeling, find the why this matters, who it's good for, right? Do I need to shrink the change, right? A dear friend of mine says in change efforts, we can't get there grown, meaning, it's going to take some time. So, what are the things, like, what are the chunks? How can we chunk the change or shrink the change? We're only going to, we know where we're going because we have that destination postcard. But here's what we're doing right now. And then we'll do this. So we're really shrinking the change, not to spook the elephant. Or do you need to shape the path? Like tweak the environment, make the right behavior, the easy behavior. You guys know that once upon a time in medicine, the sink was at the nurse's station outside of the hospital room. So your doctor would go in and they'd have to go to the nurse's station, wash their hands before they came in to your room, leave your room, go down the hall, wash their hands. What do you think that did for infection rates? Up. So this thing about tweak the environment, the tweak was they put the soap dispenser, the gel in the room. So have you ever like gone to your doctor's office or been in the hospital? They hit it when they come in. They do what they have to do. They hit it when they go out. There's no more having to wind your way to the nurse's station, right? They tweak the environment such that the right behavior is the easy behavior. Which pieces of the environment might you need to tweak, or habits might you want to build into the environment? Okay. So just a little way to think about it. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is to spend a little time. We're not going to go into breakout rooms because of our time, but for you all to think about your capstone project, or maybe it's the squirreliest problem that you're dealing with right now. And just on first blush, which thing seems to be something you could apply, right, from that switch framework. So I'm going to give you maybe 2 or 3 minutes to think about it. If you need to take your quick micro break while you're doing that, like stand up, stretch, whatever you need to do, multitask, do that as well. And that will be part of what we discuss when you come back. Okay, so how about 3 minutes to do that? And think about what that'll yield for you. Vanessa, can you put the slide up that has the switch principles chart? These folks
Yes.
have to look at. Thank you. All right. Let's come back together. And Vanessa, do you mind to take the slide down? Thank you. Okay. All right. So, how about we just hear from a couple of people? What resonates for you when it comes to your project? What do you think would be helpful? Directing the rider, motivating the elephant, or shaping the path? We heard a little bit about motivating the elephant before, but who else has some emerging thoughts? You don't have to nail it and this is what I'm gonna do, but just what seems like it might be intriguing or what you might be holding curiosity around.
I think for me, motivating the elephant and being able to like shrink the change and help people see that it's not going to be as expansive in the beginning as it is. And I think what's neat is because we're doing these small tests to change that it really kind of feeds into that approach.
Beautiful.
I think this was under motivating the elephant, but it was pointing to the destination. I think I always try to start with like the end goal and what's that future state going to look like, and getting people motivated to see, what that could be sometimes helps move the change along.
So really having that destination postcard.
I think for me, I feel like we know where the destination is, but I think that many of the people around me feel like we've already solved the problem. So seeing it from my angle and trying to help people who think there is no problem understand that there is still broken. I think trying to figure that piece out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So, that piece about complexity and what you're talking about is really perspective taking, right? And that can be a very complex thing to support people in doing, right? The the different perspectives. And
Backing off of Anita because I'm working with her on one of the projects, even though I've been ignoring her the last 2 weeks, so she's probably mad at me.
I ain't mad at you.
So it's been a rough 2 weeks. Anyhow, what you're talking about, like I would probably classify that under director writer because we can point to things that the what we're trying to do. We can point to behaviors that they are doing well. We can point to the things that we are doing well, your area is doing well, but we need to give them a better picture of where we need to be. Um, they need that what they call destination postcard. Like this is what we have and this is good, but this is what it could be. So how can we get there? That's how I'm kind of seeing the biggest challenge we have with our project because we're trying to change behaviors of faculty, um, and part of their processes and understanding. So that's my take on that one, Anita.
oh, Anita, you're on mute.
I mean, I agree with you, Kasha. And I can give a small, and I don't want to like monopolize, but like I got this week an email from a teacher that told me she had a student that they wanted to refer, but they didn't know how to do this. That was hard for me to hear because it's kind of like, we work really hard at trying to get that information out. And I know everybody does, not just me, like as a school, one of the things recently that happened, we had to take down like pop-up banners and things where people could find us because of new laws and different things. So like some of that is word of mouth, and then some of that is how do we make sure that people see it even if they can't hear it. So putting some new stuff out, which I've taken care of it's that problem has been resolved as far as visibility, but still it's not me who initially would tell the new faculty that we exist, right? So it's like, okay, it's broken, like it's just broken. So that was hard for me, but I sent her all the things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think, Anita, that is a really, really good example of an adaptive issue masquerading as just a technical issue, right? Like, so really holding that curiosity and hypotheses around, well, what else could be happening, right? What are the loss aspects? What are the values? What are the beliefs that people might be holding that continue to concretize this issue, right? So sort of getting underneath of it and poking at it with some adaptive tools.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, so I'm going to do it this way as we come to a close. If you're thinking about, I don't know, like applying something in the direct the writer camp, let me just see your hands. I just, want to see them. If you're thinking, okay, I just got to keep hitting them with logic and okay, rationalizing this. Okay. What about, where are my elephant folks? I'm going to find the feeling. I'm going to move the emotion. I'm going to break down the change, chunk the change. All right. And then my path people. So I have path people who are going to tweak the environment. Okay. Awesome. 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 All right. Well, it has been a blast spending time with you guys. My offer stands. If you are interested in adaptive leadership and ways to address an adaptive issue. I'm happy to be of service. We'll get the slide deck out. There are some resources in the back that time did not allow for us to delve into, but I think could be helpful to you. I am a bookie, so this is an oldie but goodie. I know you saw the video, but I would encourage you to read Switch. There's a new version out. It is one of the fastest reads on the planet, I do believe. It's got lots of good little examples of it inside it. And thank you, Vanessa. The other is that blue book, Adaptive Leadership, The Practice of Adaptive Leadership. This is a book, it stays on my nightstand. You can see it's really overworked and overused. And what I love about this book is when you read it, my hunch is that you'll be like, oh, I've been doing that. This is the language for that. Oh, got it. There's everything in here from working with people, thinking and acting little p politically, how to rally the herd, how you ripen an issue. Because just in the time that I've been listening, my hunch is that some of the issues that you want to address in your capstone, the issue may not be changed right away. It may be ripening the issue so that it can change, right? So there's stuff in the book about that. Yeah, it's just good stuff. So thank you guys for the time. Lily, thank you for the invite. And I'm going to toss it to you.
Thank you so much, Dana. Everybody, I hope that that was really helpful, and especially as you are perhaps, venturing into some of these challenging pieces of our projects or the change work. Um, Thank you, Dana, for offering to kind of be a resource to folks if they want to share a question with you. I think there's probably a lot of case studies that it would be good if we did have a little bit more time for this session. In the future, we'll definitely think of that. I did want to point everybody to the chat before you leave, because there's still 6 minutes left. If you don't mind, please fill out our session feedback survey. And also you can have first dibs on the capstone presentations sign up. So go ahead and grab a slot that makes you feel the most comfortable and excited for your presentation. And then also just a reminder that registration to the Student Success Summit is free for Leadership Exchange participants. And so we have a special link there for you if you would like to attend. And that's March 23rd and 24th at U of L. And finally, when Dana shares her deck with me, as well as the meeting recording from today, we'll post all of that in the Impact Exchange. I have the shell already created, so it's got a lot of good stuff in there already for you to reference. And then we'll just keep that updated, in the next week or so, we should have all the materials in there. So that's all that I have. Yep.
Can I ask a question? I know we didn't get, it says that we're not going to get a confirmation email for the Student Success Summit. Is anyone able to just confirm that like it went through?
Yeah, absolutely. I can run our roster through the registration, and I guess I'll confirm with the folks that have registered. Happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? We do have, where's my Impact Exchange? There's a couple of milestones coming up. So don't forget to have your aim statement and driver diagram in that Google folder. The link is in the Impact Exchange. It'd be great if you'd like to set up a check-in with your coach, Stephanie, myself, or Beth, by our 60-day check-in toward the end of March. And then also, for prep for the capstone presentation itself, we'll spend our 90-day check-in in April, mostly reviewing the template for a presentation deck, the rubric, for kind of components to include. And that should hopefully get everybody feeling ready to go. Okay. Stephanie, did I forget anything?
No, I think you got it all covered.
Okay. It's great to see everybody. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.